family obligation and is not able to answer or be part of the panel. So if you have Forest Service specific questions, she asks that you email, call, or DM her in Teams, and she would be happy to answer any of those questions. Before we get started, I did want to thank you from the bottom of my heart to Serena. She's been amazing to help us IBC folks get this training workshop off the ground and has been an amazing resource and super helpful. So kudos to her. Really appreciate you. And all right, so we'll get started. I'm going to stop sharing, Jeff, and then you can take over the screen.
Thank you. I'll come on video for a couple of minutes while I do an introduction, but got some bandwidth issues where I'm at this week, so I'll turn it off after that. But like Julie said, my name is Jeffrey Lee. I am the center manager at Phoenix Dispatch, and I am also the dispatch rep to the Incident Business Committee. So let me stop sharing or stop video so I can save that. And then I will hopefully figure out Zoom. I'm a very rare Zoom user, so bear with me. All right. Julie, can you see my screen here?
I can see water,
Okay.
lake, and mountains.
Yeah, that's good.
Okay. All
I'm
right.
trying to pull up the chat so I can see any questions. There we go. So I'll try, and if I see any questions in the chat, I'll try and answer them as we go. But feel free to raise your hand if you have questions that you want live. So first off, real quick, I'll just go through a quick couple of minutes on how to get to IROC, how to get the roles and stuff like that. So where you got to go is FAMOFF. If you haven't been there, it's a quick, easy search, and it's right here, FAMOFF. So when you get here, if you're a government employee, you'll choose this side, and if you're not, you'll go here and you'll go through your login.gov. So if you don't currently have a login.gov, it'll prompt you to fill one of those out. So once you get signed in, it will have you create a profile. And once you do that, you will see this screen pretty much like this. So basically up here where your name is, there's a drop down here where you can edit your profile. You can request access to different apps, organizations, things like that, and log out. So down here is all of the production and training applications. So you'll find IROC basically, and you can click this star up here and it will save it to up here. So once you have it, if there's a couple of different ways you can request the IROC access. So you can go up here and you can do this, and basically that will take you to the admin panel. Hopefully. There we go. So to be able to gain access, you just click this, and this is where all of the various, no, I don't want that. All of the various programs are that you can have access. So I've already got IROC access. So what you want is there's two different ways you can do it. There's IROC production, which is the live version of iRock. That's where you'll do all the work in. And then there is also a training application that's basically mirrored from production, but you can play around in practice and it won't actually mess with anything on the production side. And then you pick on this side either production or training once you click the application access. However, you'll want to call your local dispatch center or whoever you are dispatched out of. If you're a regional or DOI employee that's dispatched out of a geographic area coordination center, you'll want to talk to them and see who the person is that can approve iRock access to you. You'll put their information in here, you'll submit it, and then they will get notified of a new access, and then they could either approve it or whatever. So since we are only going to be looking at iRock through read-only access, I am going to go through the production side because I don't like the big red banner on the training side. And since we're not going to be doing any updates or creating anything, I don't think we're going to mess anything up. So after you get your access and you get iRock set up, then once you get ordered to an incident or whatever, or you can talk to the local dispatch center and request read-only access, which shouldn't be a problem for the most part, since read-only, you can't go in and really mess anything up. You can just look at things and search and stuff like that. So once you get in, you'll see this screen. So this is called the DMT, or the Data Management Tool. This first screen will be your dashboard, and there's different dashboards. You can go in and you can create some. You can find some that have been shared with you and things like that show different information. But so where we'll go is, so if you hit the iRock button right here, it'll always take you back to this screen. So it's basically the home button. If you click this is all of the selections that you can make in iRock DMT. If you hit the little stars on the side, that will favorite something, and that will show up into your favorite. So you can see I've got a lot of favorites because I use a lot of stuff. History is everything that you've pretty much done in the last couple of days. It goes down like 20 selections or something like that. And then iRock Help is for knowledge-based articles and the consolidated release notes. So whenever they release the notes of the new version of iRock and everything that's been updated, it goes to that. So what we will do is we will kind of go through a little bit of navigating the DMT and what is in here, and we'll just take a little bit of time to do that. So, of course, with read-only access, you won't have all of the selections I have because I'm a dispatch manager, so I have basically everything. So if there's anything in here that is dispatcher or dispatch manager access, I'll kind of skip that over. So first, we go into iRock Home. So this it has the release notes that you can go to, the knowledge base articles. The dispatch portal is another screen. That's where we do all of the major work in as dispatchers. And then if you see anything that you think would be a good update to iRock or to something like that, you can go to this change request form and you can fill it out and kind of describe what you think the change should be and how it would benefit the community and the IROC users. And then there's a IROC change board that goes through those change requests and either approves or denies and things like that. Dashboards, that is where you can go to view dashboards that have been created and shared with you. You can create new dashboards and things like that. So the next one is my IROC. So in IROC, if you see anything basically that says my at the first, so my dispatch incidents, my organization, stuff like that, that refers to your dispatch organization, and that's your current dispatch organization. So if you're on an assignment in another dispatch zone away from home, then you will see the things from that dispatch center. So for mine, it'll always be Phoenix dispatch unless I go somewhere else, and then it will switch over to theirs. So if you're looking for things that are in the dispatch zone or an incident that you're currently assigned to, then this helps you out a lot because you can look at the incidents, the DPLs, requests, some of that stuff. Okay. And then dispatch manager, you shouldn't see that. IROC login, it's just homepage. You can do a new access request. And then it shows some login requests that you have made. And then organization approvals, that's a dispatch manager thing. Aviation hazards, you shouldn't need that. That is solely aviation hazards. Catalog. So catalog is a handy thing. So it has catalog items for non-supply and supplies. So you can click these and it shows you information on all of the catalog items that are in IROC. So for supplies, there's 2,144 of them. So it shows you the code and what it is and a little bit of information, which catalog it's in, whether it's active or not. So that's a good way when you're trying to search different items. You can go in here and you can find out what it's called in IROC, which will make it a lot easier for you to go through. And then you can do the same thing for the non-supply items. But in non-supply, it comes down here and it has them grouped over here. And we'll talk about grouping here in a little bit. So you can always hit this IROC button and it goes right back to your dashboard. So incident complex, you won't need that. Incidents. So this shows, so you won't be able to create a new incident. That's dispatcher access and above. But what you will see is all incidents, and that is something that you can definitely use with read only. So this is every incident that is in IROC, whether it is closed or open, no matter what. So if you see down here, there's 365,000 of them. So it's really easy to kind of refine this down, and we'll kind of go through a little bit of it real quick. So if you are looking for just a specific incident, or if you're looking for incidents within your dispatching organization, you can find that stuff here. So a disclaimer, these search boxes on top of these columns For the most part, they default to a search term of starts as or starts with. So if you type something in here, so let's say Phoenix, I can spell it right, and you hit enter, it should, so it will refine all the incidents in here for Phoenix Interagency Dispatch Center because we're the only dispatch organization that starts with Phoenix. So there's that piece up there. So you can continue to type in here different selections and it'll further refine it down. Okay, so now we're down to only incidents that have been created and put into IROC in 2026 for Phoenix, right? So we're down to 127. So there's a little filter button up here. So this will show you what your current filters are. So there is, I believe, if the we'll see it here in a little bit when we go into requests and resources, but if you don't see the boxes open, you can hit this button and it will either hide it or show it. You are welcome. So, and here you can go ahead and refine some additional things. So if you're looking for specific incidents and things like that, it will come up and you can add more. So, but here is a lot of the different incidents that you have, what they are, who the protection unit is, time zones, uh, the unit identifiers, what the incident number is, you know, all those types of things. And we'll get more into this when we get down to the requests part. So that is, so most of these you won't see. You'll see this one, and I think you might have a couple of these other ones, but anything that allows you to actually create or update things you shouldn't see. Um, Organizations, this is, you can go in and it will pull up every organization that is in IROC, and you can basically search them and find out who they are. So uh, anything that's within these groups, it will show you and you can refine those down. So these are all the local dispatch centers. So you can find them, you can see what their unit identifier is, what they're called, what geographic area they're in, what parent organization they are, things like that. So if you're looking for a specific organization, you have questions on that, you can go with that. Pre-orders that you probably won't see, and that's only if there are pre-orders that are preloaded into the system. However, we'll get into requests and resources here in just a second. Rosters, that's any rosters that are currently active in the system that you have access to. Historical data management, this is archived information. And then tactical and aviation, you won't need that. And then reports, IREC reporting, and NERV, we'll get into that here in a little bit too. But we'll spend a little bit of time on requests and resources. So requests, so you won't have new requests, but you will have all requests. You should see pending requests, preposition requests, things like that. So a good way is you go into all requests, and there's going to be like 4 million of them, but don't worry, we'll refine that down once we get there. I apologize. I'm currently in Tucson and I'm helping teach D510 this week. So there's 40 or 50 people here and they're all trying to use the same internet. So it's a little sluggish. Yeah, hopefully it will get in here. So I guess while we're waiting, oh, questions. Yes, you will need to, if you've only got the training application, then you will need to do an access request and get the actual access to iRock production to where you can go in and see the DMT and all that stuff. Wow, this is taking a long time. There we go. All right. Let me look through some questions here. All right. Um, uh, the EI suites question, that is, I'm not too familiar with EI suites and iRock because I don't get into EI suites. I don't do any information in there. So that will have to be probably a question for someone who is in EI suites and iRock. So yes, Leslie, there you can get um, long-term access. That's a question you'll have to ask with the local dispatch center who's giving you the access roles. Um, because you can go in there and grant temporary access, and that just helps the dispatch center with not having to go in there constantly and clean up their access roles that are in iRock because especially in these busier seasons, they can definitely pile up. So just talk to them or talk to your local dispatch center, whoever you're dispatched out of, and ask them to give you read-only access that doesn't expire, and you can get in there and kind of look around and play around and stuff like that. So now that we are in the request. So as you can see at the bottom, there's 3.7 million requests in iRock. So we can refine these down a little bit and we'll go through that. So um, again, you can use these search bars up here. If you know if there's a couple of things that you want to refine real quick, or you can click this filter button and you can start here and then you can go through and you can choose the the fields that you want to do. So I prefer to refine a few things down first. So we're going to use my dispatch center again. Okay. So that cut it down. Now we're down to about 50,000. And as you can see up here, it did starts with again. And you can go in here also and we can refine it down to 2026 incidents, and that should drop it down to a few hundred, hopefully. But just remember that most of these search bars, they go with starts with. So if you put something in there and it doesn't show you any options, then it's probably because one of these search options is off. So now we're down to about 350, which is a lot more manageable. So this is going to show us all of the incidents that have been put into IROC for in 2026. So you can go through here and you can find if you're looking for a specific incident, you can do that. I also understand that a lot of finance folks do not only manage one incident. Sometimes they have multiple incidents, and you can look at multiple incidents at a time if you need to. And I can show you how to do that. So these are all of the incidents that we have. So I am going to pick just a couple of them and just kind of show you how to do that. So you can come down here to the incident, and we're going to go with 2026 TNF. Okay, and then there's TNF support. So you can refine this a little bit. So you can say TNF support, and then if you hit run, okay, so that works. So it shows me all of the requests that have been made for 2026 TNF support. So if you go in here and you open it, so if you click the and or the or button up here, it will create a new condition down here. However, if you click the and or buttons on one of these conditions, it's going to add to that condition. So if you want to add another incident, so if you hit and, that's going to give you no options because it's going to be looking for requests that have this incident name and the other incident name within the same incident name. So it's not going to give you anything. So you want to hit or. So it displays a second one down here. And then we'll just say round because I know there's a round fire. So then you hit run again. And see, now it's showing both. Okay, so if you are managing multiple incidents, you can do that. And then you can, each one of these columns has these little 3 buttons here. So if you want to group them by certain things, so you can hit group by incident, and it will, oh, okay. So it will group the specific incident. So we have a few. And then you can just hit the tab and it will show you all of the requests within that incident that have been created. So that's an easy way. Let's see. We'll get into reports here in just a second. I'll do a little bit of report stuff, but IROC reports are quite complicated if you don't understand how to do it, and I am absolutely not an expert in it. I just know a lot of people who are. So most of my reports come from someone else, unless they're a little bit on the basic side.
Can you show folks how
What's
to
that?
pull up like a single resource or crew that
Yep.
those resource orders. Thank you.
Yes, we can do that. And I will show you, I can pull up, show some of that in the requests piece. And then here in a second, when we move into the resources tab on how to search resources, we'll go through that as well. So just real quick, we're just going to open up. We'll find something. Here we go. How about, so when you want to open a specific request, you want to hit this link over here on the created. If you hit this button, it's going to pull up the incident tab. And then these other ones like this, it's just going to pull up those specific tabs. So if you want to actually view the request, you have to hit this one where it's been created. Hopefully they're not talking about anything important on the DO call or everybody's going to know about it. All right, so when you pull up a request, this is what you're going to see. Okay, any attachments like the general messages and things like that, documentation is going to come up here. This right here is what is the status of the request, and then this is a bunch of the information. So the incident information and what it is, if it's trackable, it'll be checked. The need, date, time information, the finance code, where it's going, and you can hit these little I information tabs over here, and it'll pull up the information on this. So you should be able to pull up, as long as the information is in there, like it will have should have the information on and the address for the Globe Ranger District Office and things like that. This side over here, some more information, what it is, if it's a preposition, who created it, who placed it, the fill information, some of that is over here. The request contact information over here. Usually the ordering contact is usually the dispatch center. So this is our dispatch center phone number. This is going to be who requested it. And then once you get down here, you'll see request details is always the first one. So you'll see special needs right here. So anything that's within there, if the dispatch center puts the general message number in here, it will be over here. And then these tabs over here, a few of these you're gonna need. Other ones are more system information that dispatch uses or the IROC developers use to be able to troubleshoot some stuff. So fill details is a good one. You can go in here and you can see the organization and the providers and anything like that over there. Mobilization is going to tell you all of the mobilization times, the travel mode, things like that. Release details, if it's been released, it will show you that. Right now, it's what the release is. Supply details, if it's some kind of a supply or cache stuff, that will come in here. So this is activities. This is just what happened. So user documentation is a good one. So any documentation that the dispatcher puts into IROC for the request, that will be in here. And then these ones over here are all system information. So once you get down to the bottom, so you probably won't see a lot of this because a lot of that is like dispatch center stuff. So here it's kind of just some transactions and stuff like that. If there's subordinates on it, and things like that. But there is a click right here. And then there's another one at the top that's view the resource order form. So if you want to view the actual resource order form, you click that button, it'll prompt you to download it, and then you can open it after it's been downloaded. So that's requests. So now we will go into the resources. So You have active resources, so that's any resource that is currently active in the system. And then inactive resources is if they've been inactive, but they're still in IROC, you can look them up. And then some of this other stuff is uh, developer information. So we'll want to go into active resources. So that opens up all of the different resource categories. So based on what you are currently looking for, you can go through here and you can pick whichever one you want to look at. So how to print the resource order form for continuous, that is when you go into IROC and you try to print it, there's a button that says print it continuous, and you just click the button, and then that's easy. So for the sake of bandwidth, we will go into equipment. Because again, I think there's something like there's hundreds of thousands of resources in here. So equipment resources. So this is going to show all the equipment resources within IROC. Again, just like anything else, because if it says all, then that means everything that's within the system. So when you open this up, it's got its operational name, apparatus, status, their GAC, who they're dispatch centered out of, their provider information, if they have a VIN number or anything like that, serial numbers, if it's a national resource or not, and things like that. So again, we will use ours. Okay, so this is all of the equipment resources, and that is federally owned. It's if we had any state resources, they would be in here. Vendors, anything and everything that's in equipment resources in here. So you can look things up in here pretty easy. So we are going to just look up an engine. And remember, if you go into here, it always does starts with. So we're going to look up our engine 635 off the Tunnel National Forest. So if you click 635, it's not going to pull up anything. Okay. So you can either do this, and you can change this where it says starts with or contains. But if you do contains, that's going to show you any equipment that has 635. So luckily, I only have 3. So we have engine 635 right here. We can click on it, and it will bring up the information. Okay, so for a resource, here's all the information if you're looking for a specific resource, what they are, the VIN numbers, where they're currently at, and things like that. If there's a roster with it. However, we'll go down to here. So there's a lot of information in here. So this is 36 requests. So this is every request that this engine has ever had, which might be beneficial to you guys. So what it is, and you can again, since there is no search bar here, you can click this button and it'll open it up, and then you can search any of these different things, right? So if you're looking for a specific request or anything like that, here is all of those requests. Okay, and then you just hit this button over here, and it will open that request into that previous request screen that we saw, right? So here's all of that. So we'll go back, and here's the resource. Any qualifications, rosters are over here, the organization contacts, things like that. So, and then, so you can do that. And then also from the incidents tab, you can see if you open up a specific incident. Um, Let me go back in here real quick. So you can go down here and you can see specific incidents. So you can click on an incident and that will take you to that incident. So, Serena, the at preposition, those different things. So when a resource is ordered for a preposition assignment, um, if it says at preposition available, that means if you get an order, so say a type 6 engine is at preposition available, if you create a type 6 engine order in IROC and pull up the availability tab, that engine will show up because it is available even though it is committed to a preposition. So if it is showing at preposition committed, then it will not show up in that availability screen because it's committed. So if you have usually if you get things like severity resources that are coming in to help the local area for initial attack, they'll have them showing at preposition and available. That way, if they go to an initial attack fire, they can be reassigned to that specific fire. And then when they're done with that fire, they can be released back to the preposition and they'll just be showing back at the preposition. Does that answer your question?
It does, yes. Thank you. I just want to make sure because we run into this quite often with the uh, surge or preposition resources that we have been helping with on the remote incident support team on the finance side. And so I just wanted to make sure that I was treating them correctly because I know if they show at preposition committed, they also more than likely have a resource order number for the incident that they're committed to. So, but where you were just at with that one engine is usually where we go to kind of see where they're at. Because all we see in the preposition incident is that they're committed, but we don't see where they're committed to.
Oh, okay. All right. So, what I wanted to show you in the resource or the incident screen is you probably won't need a lot of the information up here, but down here, you'll see every request that's on an incident. So if you're assigned to a specific incident, you can come down here and you can see basically, excuse me, anything and everything. So for this incident that we had last year, it's got 2,500 incidents. So you can come down here and you can refine that. You can also, you can't group down here in these tabs, but you can group them from the main resources or incident screen. But you still can go through here and find specific things. So if you're trying to search for all of the meals that were created on this order, you can just type in the 4-letter designator that it starts with, and this will show you all of the S numbers for meals, and you can do that for anything and everything. If you're just wanting to look at all the supplies, you can put supply, things like that. Just remember that it starts with up here and not contains. So if you need specific things like that, you can come up here and change that out. But this is where you can find the specific fill information for S numbers and things like that, the vendors, what it is, depending on where you're at. Different dispatch centers have different protocols and procedures on how they fill different requests. So that stuff will be kind of around through in these tabs. And then also down here for local purchases. So if it's a local purchase, it'll kind of show this stuff down here. If you fill it with, if it's something that has an agreement, it will say, this tab will say fill with agreement. Or agreement details, something like that. And then when you open that, it will show you the agreement number, how many were assigned, how many were ordered, anything like that. Okay, so, and then the last thing we'll kind of go through, close out some of these, is the reports. So there's two ways you can do IROC reporting or reports. They both do some of the same things. So this is the IROC reportings of my stuff. This will take you to the same place. You can hit the IROC reports. And then this is, these tabs up here are all of the different reports. So anything that I have is right here. So I've got some reports that my expert report makers have created for me. If you're a part of a group, then all of those reports are here. Global is the main tab when you open this, and this has everything. So if you're looking for a report that does a specific thing, you can come over here and you can search it. Okay, so if you're looking for something with qualifications, you can start kind of, let's see. So you can see any report that has, that in it, but that just means title contains, so that means anything with quals in it. But you can do that for anything. But if you search and you can't find what you're looking for, then you can click this button and you can create a report. So you would have to name it. You do the data source of what you're going to be using. And then it'll go in there and it'll allow you to create what kind of report you want, whether it's a graph or if it's a list or something like that. You'll go through all of that and then you can refine the report. So we have pending requests. So this is basically how a report would look like once it comes up. So you've got all of this, the different lists, different information, and this is all pending requests nationally, as of right now. So if you find a report that has basic information that you need, you can hit the filter button, and this shows you everything that's been put into that report. So if you want to take something out or change it, this is where you go. On this one, it's all of these conditions must be met. So all of this has to work for it to spit it out. So then if you want to create something additional, you would put this. And then just like in the filter screen on the other pieces, you go in here and you can create, or you can pick whatever you need. If you want to put different keywords in there, like agreement, it'll filter those things out. So you can create those, and then you can go in here whenever if you chose active, and then you can say, you can choose these and then these, right? And then once you do that, you hit the run button, and then it will search, and then it will create your new report. So to say that IROC reports are detailed is an understatement. There is an insane amount of data that you can find in reports. So if it's something that you feel is that you want to use, then you can definitely get in there, play around with it. And if you know somebody who's really good at reports, then you can get them to help you out. And that's usually what I do. Julie, I think that is about. Oh, can you show us how to export a report
I was
to
gonna say, you
Excel?
just got a last minute question.
Okay, so we'll just open up a report here. And that is this. Let's see here. Should be, yeah, export to PDF. I don't know if you can do Excel. It might be, I think it might be dependent on the report. So I think you can do it by qualifications, I think, unless I haven't had to export something. No, it looks like you can only do it to a PDF anymore. So
Yeah,
they must have.
I
Go
was
ahead.
gonna say, when you're in the incidents and you can download to Excel that way, but out of those
Oh yeah,
reports, I think it's just PDF.
right. So that's all I've got. How do we use the contracts tab? Um, I don't I don't know if read only allows for the contracts tab. Let me find contracts. Contracts. So we can go into my contracts. So that's the only one I got. So basically, if you have access to the contracts, you can go in there and you can search any contract, but you can, if you have a resource, let me really fast. I will try and get this done in the next 5 minutes so we can get to Kellen's uh, IRPP and that kind of fun stuff. Okay, I know aircraft resources are really good. So let's see here. So, all right, so here is a bunch of aircraft resources, so we can do that. Go back. So we'll just use aircraft. And this will be the same for vendor information and things like that for the contracts, but the contracts are down here. Contract line items. So if it has a contract, it will be there. Let me find something that's actually got a contract in it. We'll use a, okay. Here we go. LAP contracting. They should have a contract hopefully in there. DPL agreements. So here is the agreement information for things. So what they are, the contract. So you can hit the contract button and it will pull up the contract and anything and everything that you need to know about it, all of the vendor resources that are under that contract, the catalog items, anything and everything about the contract is right there. Okay. Let's see here. Okay, IROC to EI suites. let's see, if an AD checks in claiming they are going to be working for their whole assignment as a higher paid position than what they were ordered as, is it appropriate for finance to ask that they work with ordering to get reassigned an IROC so that their RO matches that position? Correct. If an AD is working for in a position that they were not ordered as, then they just need to work on getting the documentation switched over so they can uh, get paid and get the experience for what they are doing. And depending on whether if it's just a different position, and Julie, you can correct me if I am wrong, but if it's a new position, it just needs a new resource order, but not a new casual hire. And then you just put the new position and rate on your OF 288. But you can tell me if I'm wrong or not.
That is true. We also accept a general message. So,
Okay.
because
Let me
yeah,
s-
but yep.
Okay, I got to figure out how to stop sharing.
There's a stop share at the top of your screen.
Oh, it's over here. I was looking at the wrong screen. My fault. Thanks, everybody. I will hang out for the rest of for the other hour. And if anybody has any more dispatch questions, then by all means, give me a holler. Back to you, Julie.
That was excellent. Thank you so much. One of the times that I wish we had given you more than an hour. Yeah, iRock is a great system, but getting in there and getting to know it. So thank you. Really appreciate all the tips and tricks that you had shown. And yeah, if you don't mind looking through the chats to see if there were any questions that were missed. But I think you did an excellent job. Thank you. So our next presenter is Kellen. She's going to talk about incident response premium pay and then pay cap.
Sure am. Let me grab my presentation. Let me know when y'all can see it and can hear me okay. No see it yet. Let me try again.
Yeah, I can't see it. We can hear you though. We see you.
Oh, I'm sorry. Here we go. All right. It's a Friday. Okay. Got it?
Yes, ma'am.
Cool. All right. Good morning, everybody. My name is Kellen Krill. I am the branch chief of incident business for the U.S. Wildland Fire Service. Today, we're going to talk about IRPP, incident response premium pay, and pay caps. I want to caveat this with a couple of things. This guidance varies between DOI and the Forest Service. There are some distinct differences, and I'm going to highlight the ones that I'm aware of. There may be others. Things are changing fast. As you know, the fire service is now stood up and taking 4 different agency interpretations and combining them into one has been interesting. We're making sure that we're finding that common guidance and putting things forward. There are legislation and things that are active right now up in Congress that could change this in the future and provide some additional updates. So this is accurate as of today. As things change, we will communicate that out, at least on the DOI side. And I know Bonnie and her team will do the same on the Forest Service side. So what I'm showing you today is today's knowledge. I know there are going to be some hard questions, and I'm all about that. Hit me with them. But I reserve the right to say, I need to get back to you. I don't want to just answer and have it be as close as possible. I want to be able to say, yes, definitively, this is the right answer. So I may come back to you. So if you have questions, think of them, and hopefully we'll get them covered ahead of time. Okay, incident response premium pay. Here we go. This training addresses the following. We're going to talk about whether a workday qualifies for IRPP. We're going to understand what IRPP pays and what it does not pay, how to code time correctly, and what backup documentation that you need to potentially have in the event of questions. And then I want to talk about the common mistakes and misinterpretations that we're seeing. This deck will be available to you all. I will have Julie send it out. In addition to, we'll send you guys a copy of the latest guidance from DOI and Forest Service for IRPP, the actual policy guidance documents. So those will also be shared. Okay, so the intent with this slide deck is just to use it as a simple training. If you just want to look something up to remind yourself, this might be a great place. But for further things that are a little more complicated, I would urge you to look at the legislation or the guidance from your agency. Okay, maybe if I can hit next. Nope, it beeped at me. Let me try again. There we go. Okay, what is IRPP? IRPP is extra premium pay for qualifying incident deployment. IRPP is paid once for each qualifying calendar day. It's not hourly. It's a one-time per day payment, and I'll get into that more. It's paid in addition to overtime and other premium pay that you earn separately. So this doesn't have any bearing on your overtime, hazard pay, night diff, none of that. It's an additional thing. And I want to go into the intent behind this. The firefighters, folks that are in covered PDs, were getting incentive pay the last several years until Congress put the GW pay scale into effect. And the GW pay scale didn't cover the entire amount that folks were getting for the incentive pay. So this IRPP pay was invented to help close that gap between the amount that they had been receiving and also provide incentive for folks to respond to incidents. So that was the intent behind it. What it's not, IRP is not hourly overtime. It's not basic pay and does not count towards retirement or high 3 calculations. And it's something you get for every fire-related workday. It is not a daily incident premium. It's separate from regular hours, separate from overtime, separate from retirement. I kind of put that in there twice, but that's because we get a lot of questions on that. Okay. Who can get IRPP? USDA and DOI federal employees, and they must be assigned to perform wildland fire incident-related duties while deployed away from their home unit. This does include folks like finance people, logistics, etc. You don't have to be a firefighter to get IRPP. You do have to be a federal employee, though. So it also includes support staff when assigned to a qualifying incident, and we'll get into that some more as well. Don't assume that proximity to an incident entitles anyone to IRPP. Don't assume that helping with fire-related work is going to qualify you. And you still need to meet all the eligibility requirements, and most importantly, the incident itself must qualify for IRPP. One watch-out situation is if your agency didn't send you and you don't have like a resource order, or you're not red carded or certified to perform incident-related duties, I would probably get clarification before you go trying to claim IRPP. I wouldn't just assume that you get it. So you would always link back to that home unit timekeeper and maybe truth that out and say, am I entitled or no? Okay, and I don't know if it's hiding the top here. Oh, I went too far. I went too far. Okay, here we go. What's a qualifying incident? Well, that can be a wildfire, a prescribed fire, a severity assignment, or any incident that the Secretary of Interior or USDA has approved as similar. So it may be that we have an all-hazard incident that the Secretary feels like he can declare IRPP as eligible, and that's great, but don't assume it automatically applies unless there's been a declaration from the Secretary, which if you're responding to that incident, I would assume the agency would communicate that to you so you're aware. At least I will be if we have something that qualifies. The second kind of factor to determine is, were you deployed? Were you sent away outside from your official duty station? Or are you at your home unit but assigned to a fire camp or ICP or other field type location nearby that you're staying at and not returning to the home unit? Those both qualify. Does an exclusion apply? So if it's an incident or a fire that started, and if that fire is contained by initial attack within the first 36 hours from time of ignition, that does not apply. So 36 hours, if it's out in the first 36 hours, no IRPP for anybody. If you come home every night, if you get to come home and sleep in your bed and you're not staying at that field location, then you cannot claim IRPP. If you're virtual only support, and which I'm thankful to have virtual only support, I think it's a good flexibility, but you are not entitled to IRPP if you're supporting an incident virtually. If it's a fuels or training assignment and there's no active ignition or active burning, that varies between DOI and the Forest Service, and I will talk about that in a next slide. So the bottom line with this is if the answers to these three boxes are yes, yes, no, then you're usually going to be eligible for IRPP for that calendar day. Okay, so it's kind of like that qualifying test. You can kind of go through these and be like, yes, yes, maybe. So it would kind of prompt you to check with your incident finance or your home unit to see if that incident does qualify for IRPP. And it's very confusing. We get a lot of questions. I get them daily on, special snowflake questions of it. Does this qualify? Does this qualify? And it's a lot. It's a lot to digest. So if you get confused, you're not alone. But hopefully this helps a little bit. All right, let's go through some common examples of when IRPP usually qualifies. So usually yes, if it's an out of area assignment. Usually yes, if extended attack, the 36-hour window is been met and you're away from home. If it's a severity assignment away from your home unit. If it's a prescribed fire only on active burn days, that's the Forest Service language, and I'll go into that more. And I see a question in the chat. Oh, Julie got it. Yeah, IRPP, it starts at the 36-hour mark. So if that fire is not contained at 36 hours, then that's when the IRPP kicks in and begins eligible. Excuse me, guys. So mobilization and return travel for a qualifying incident do count as IRPP for those days. And if you're R&Ring in place and returning to the incident and you're away from home, you remain from home the whole time, let's say you R&R in place, you can get IRP, the daily rate for those days that you R&R in place and return back to the incident. And Julie, if you hear me say something that makes your head spin, please do speak up, but I think we've vetted this.
You're doing great.
Okay, all right. Okay, usually no. If the initial attack is contained within 36 hours, no entitlement. If it's a local incident where you go home every night, no. Virtual or remote support from your home or office, no. Classroom only training days with no ignition planned, no. Post-fire bear work or like burned area emergency rehab, no. And you cannot claim, if you are lucky enough or fortunate to find yourself in a spot where you are deployed to two incidents that are qualifying for IRPP, both of them in the same day, you cannot claim two entitlements. You get paid once for that. Okay. Special situations that tend to confuse people. Travel. Travel counts on the mobilization day, travel between qualifying incidents, and return travel home is all covered, and you get paid a daily IRPP rate if you're coming to or from a qualifying incident. And let me give you an example. So my IMT got ordered day one that a fire started. They knew it was going to be ugly. They got us ordered, and IRPP didn't kick in until our second day there, once we mobilized and traveled. So in that instance, my travel time in my day one, I didn't qualify for IRPP, but I did as soon as it hit the 36-hour mark. And if that 36-hour mark is like maybe in the middle of the day, that's okay. You get it for that whole day. So as long as it's 36 hours before, midnight, you would get it for that day. But it doesn't count for before that. Training days with no ignition do not qualify. If the training includes controlled ignition, if they're just going to set something on fire as a demonstration and put it out, then only that ignition day qualifies. Now, this is where some of the differences come into play between the two agencies. Prescribed fire. So in DOI, if a prescribed fire plan includes ignition, so they plan to set fire on the ground, whether it happens or not, they get IRPP for the travel in, for the duration of the planned event, and the travel home. So a DOI is more flexible. If it's Forest Service, they can only claim IRPP on active ignition and burning days. So if the active burning requires holding, like let's say they get it started and then it's kind of mop up for a while and they need to go through and do stuff, then you can claim IRPP on the day as long as there's still active fire on the ground that's being managed. Okay, so that's kind of the difference. Any questions about that? Because I know that's a big one. You can just speak up. Or if you don't want to, we can go through it and address later too. All right. And excuse me, bear and containment and R&R. So bear is more limited. Post-containment bear does not qualify, as we saw in an earlier slide. But R&R, again, in place can qualify if you remain away from home. And then the IRPP pay will stop when the incident no longer qualifies. So if that incident gets contained, controlled, that's it. They're going to call it, and you no longer get any IRPP pay for that time forward. Traveling home, wouldn't you not get IRPP? Oh, okay, I'll address those here in just a minute. It might address it in the next slide, or it might not. Let's see if it'll let me click. Okay, let's talk about what does it pay and how do you calculate it? Well, the daily IRPP rate that folks get is 4.5 times your hourly rate of basic pay. And it's capped at a GS 10 step 10. So if you're above a GS 10 or someone's above a GS 10-10, they're still capped at that GS 10-10 hourly rate. So here's an example. If you make $32 an hour of basic pay, then you would times that by 4.5, and your daily IRPP payout maximum is $144 per day. So it's not calculated per hour. It doesn't matter how many hours you work. If you're on an incident, the incident qualifies. That's how you do the calculation for what you should get paid out. There's no partial day payment for IRPP. You get paid a daily rate once. If you even play on a fire for 1 hour that qualifies, then you do get that daily pay, but you have to have 1 hour of time on the incident before you can charge it. So IRPP, another perspective is it's a flat per day amount. You either get the whole flat payment or nothing. It's not partially set. It's all or nothing. The total amount for both DOI and Forest Service is $9,000 per year. And then it also does play into the yearly pay cap. It doesn't go towards retirement. It doesn't count towards things like that, but it does count against the yearly pay cap for the calendar year, which we'll talk about at the end. All right, how IRPP works with other types of pay. So you can still be paid again on overtime, hazard pay, night diff, holiday premium, whatever. IRPP does not replace these. It's its own daily premium rate that's granted in addition to these premium pays. It does not change, again, the retirement I-3 calculations, doesn't play into that. It doesn't pay into lump sum leave payouts, workers' comp pay calculations, or FSLA or minimum wage overtime calculations. It does not count as basic pay for these purposes. And again, $9,000 cap gross before taxes. So you are taxed on that $9,000, so you will get the after-tax amount. Look at your leave and earning statements to calculate the total. I know last year on mine, it didn't like keep a cumulative running total, so I had to go through a few of my LESs and pull that amount out and add it up. So I did that to see, I didn't get close to 9,000, but I did that to kind of see how it was calculating and what kind of taxes were coming out. So if you think you're getting close, I would highly suggest you monitor your LESs or tell your staff to. If you think you're getting close to that, check with the timekeepers, check with your local admin, and kind of find out, where you're at. Both agencies have a stop put into place. So when you hit $9,000 gross, it will cut it off and it will not continue to pay out, even though you should still continue to code it in Paycheck 8 or QuickTime. Still continue to code IRP because we want to know how much qualifying hours in IRP are out there, although the pay cap will cut it off. Okay. What to document every pay period. These are suggestions for gathering documents to prove your entitlement. So obviously your resource order, the incident name, your order number, the incident type. Was it a wildfire, RX, severity, or other approved incident by the secretary? Where were you assigned? Were you at your home duty station, a hotel, fire camp, field location? Whether the day was travel, work, R&R in place, or return travel, and why the day qualified if it's not totally obvious. And what I tell folks to do is at the bottom of your CTR, if you're on a qualifying incident, I would just document that on the CTR. That's our official record of time that's signed by our incident supervisor. And to me, that's the most logical place to capture it. But you can lean to your agency or local guidance if that might be different. Backup documents, again, that might help would be a resource order or a burn plan for the prescribed burn, travel authorization, your CTR 288, or overtime authorization from your home unit supervisor. And again, check your leave and earning statements. I find that helpful. Okay, DOI timekeeping side. I just wanted to give you guys, I went too far. I just wanted to give you guys an example of kind of what that looks like. So when you code your IRPP in QuickTime, you kind of have an idea. Enter 1 hour, and the code is literally IRP. So you would enter hours code IRP, enter 1 hour for each day that qualifies, and that will automatically calculate the hourly total that you're entitled to and pay you out for that individual day. Obviously, with the unification of the fire service, this will be standard in our new version of QuickTime coming out, and that guidance will be available. But I know there's folks already doing events, prescribed burns, and stuff that qualify. So this is something good to look at. If it's not obvious, then leave enough information so a person can tell why it qualified without calling you months later as they're doing audits. So again, I like documenting right on the CTR and accompanying your resource order with it. So it gives that clear picture. This I got from Bonnie, so thank you, Bonnie. She gave me some screenshots for Paycheck 8. I am not going to pretend like I know what I'm looking at here, but you can read. So enter your hours as usual. Use the correct job code. Only one IRPP code may be used for a calendar day. Charge IRPP to the qualifying incident you're assigned to. USDA also has safeguards in place to avoid exceeding the $9,000 annual cap, but that system limit does not replace your responsibility to track your days. So that goes back to the look at your LES, like proof that out and make sure that you're not, because if you're overpaid, if for some reason the system doesn't catch it and you're overpaid, you're going to get a bill, and no one likes to get a bill. So I would watch that. And let's see here. If something looks wrong, get it fixed early. Plain language rule, 1 qualifying day, 1 IRPP entry, 1 incident charge. It's 1, 1, and 1. Okay. And she, again, included some screenshots of Paycheck 8 for what that looks like. Okay. Big mistakes to avoid. Assuming that every fire-related day qualifies. Sometimes we do fire-related work for an active incident, but we may not be assigned to it. We may not, we may just be helping in the background and not have an actual resource order or assignment. People forget the 36-hour initial attack rule. Some people try to code IRPP multiple times a day. So instead of logging that 1 hour, they're trying to do all 16. Well, that will not benefit them. 1 hour is the max you can code. Ignoring whether you went home or stayed in field status. I don't recommend it. If you're returning home every night, you don't get IRPP. But if you stay out in the field, you do. I wouldn't recommend trying to test that theory. And then again, not documenting travel or overnight status or order details. I am all about documentation to keep it clean on the up and up. All right, so better habits. Look at the 3-question test before you certify time that we showed earlier on the slides. And again, you will get these. Keep a simple personal log, check your pay statement, and warn your timekeeper if you think you may hit the cap. And then ask early when a day is borderline or you're not sure, if you kind of like, gosh, I don't know if this qualifies or not, ask the incident business professionals out in the field, reach out to me, to my staff, reach out to Bonnie, her staff, ask the question. We're there to help answer that for you. FAQs. Can support staff get IRP? So again, this is kind of, I've gone over this a couple times, but it's good to reinforce that employees assigned to perform duties and deployed away from their home and include support staff. Yes, you're eligible. Does prescribed fire count? Yes, can qualify, but only when the assignment fits IRPP rules for your agency. Travel days count? Yes, travel days when it's part of a qualifying incident deployment count, both to and from, as long as it meets that 36-hour rule and the fire is still active. Can IRPP and overtime on the same day? Yep. Again, it's just an additional premium pay. It is not wrapped into anything else. It stands alone. Remote support doesn't qualify. And does IRPP increase retirement or high 3? Again, no, it does not. All right. Bottom line here, incident premium pay, not overtime. Ask the 3 questions, keep your own logs, go to your supervisor, timekeeper, payroll, HR, budget, or your bureau incident business folks for guidance. The references used are 5 USC, the IRPP field guide, USDA service for service field guide, etc., to pull all of this information out. It looks like our questions getting answered in the chat because I'm not tracking. Looks like it. Julie, anything we should revisit before I move on to pay cap?
I'm looking through here. I think you
Can I
talked
ask
about
a quick oh, go ahead. Sorry, Julie. I wanted to ask a quick question.
Yeah, go for it.
This probably seems obvious, Kellen, but ADs are not eligible for IRPP, correct?
Correct. You have to be a federal employee with DOI or USDA.
Copy that. Thank you.
You bet.
Hello, Kellen. This is Tony. I have a clarification question too as well.
Yes, sir.
So on the 36-hour rule, I think just by looking at the chats, maybe that can be clarified a little more, because the difference between initial attack and going on an actual extended assignment, because, the 36-hour rule applies day one based on literally day one if you're going out, obviously, and it's not initial attack, you're going on assignment and things like that. So I just kind of on your example and what I've seen in the chat, I just think some clarification and your thoughts on that 36-hour rule being not, because the 36 hours has been a discussion. Where's the 36-hour start? Is it, the moment that the fire was, it started based on a resource order, et cetera. But like I said, we've been putting out guidance on at least on our end that you can actually get IRP on day one. If you, like, say you're on a team and you're ordered out, you're leaving your GAC, you're in travel status, and again, that's why I'm asking for some clarification on that, because we have actual a table, a guidance, and all that it states that. So
it's a great question. And so the incident does not qualify until it's been active for 36 hours. And what leadership decided was that the start time that's listed in IROC, so the time it was declared a wildfire, is the time that 36-hour clock starts. So from my example before, we got ordered right after a fire started because of where the location was, and they knew it would be complex right away. And so IRP pay did not kick in on that assignment until we were there after one full day. So it's 36 hours from the time the fire is declared. It doesn't matter that the team's been ordered. The incident itself doesn't qualify until 36 hours.
okay, that's good clarification, because that is a change. At least on the BLM side, that's a change, because like I said, the way it was last season and the way it's in our current policy and guidance, I know what you're saying is different, and it's going to probably come out differently, but if it's out of your area and you're leaving, it literally applied day one. And
I see.
I'm just, so, and like I said, we have tables and guidance right now out that states that. So
sure. And that might be the BLM step down guidance, right? From OWF, but the OWF guidance states that it is the rule is a 36-hour rule from start or ignition for the incident. So that, again, that could be BLM step down guidance. And this is part of the cultural shift of grabbing all these agencies and mushing them into one. is we're following the DOI or legacy OWF guidance, not our individual agency legacy
and I
guidance.
appreciate that. And I
Yeah,
appreciate that.
yeah.
It's just clarification because, like I said, I know we've been doing it differently. So I need to get that out to folks because, like I said,
Sure.
that is a change. And anyway, thank you.
Yeah, yeah, you bet. Okay, anything else anyone wants to chime in before we talk pay cap?
There's a lot of thought that shouldn't. I have a question. Is my mic working?
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay, so a fire starts 1300. A local crew is responding to do it. They're working at night. It hits the 36-hour mark. Just due to the activity, after 36 hours, that crew is staying in the field and not returning home. Does that qualify for IRPP?
They qualify for IRPP as soon as that 36-hour mark is hit. And then until the
And
fire
they're not
is
able to return home.
Yeah, correct. And then until that fire is called contained or out.
Okay, even though the fire's on their own home unit.
If they're not returning home at night and they're staying in the field, they qualify as long as the fires hit 36 hours.
Perfect, thank you.
Yep, you bet. And yeah, Johanna just put something in the chat. The IRP eligibility 36-hour clock is based on the incident, not the person. 100% that. Exactly. It's all based on the incident. And if that incident qualifies, and if it does, then the people assigned automatically do. So, Billy, do you want to chime in? I see you put something in the chat, but I can't quite get to it. It might be clarifying on Tony's comment, and I want to hear it if the OWF guidance is different than what I said. Maybe we'll come back.
No.
Okay. Oh, are you there?
Sorry.
There you are. Go ahead.
Yep, took me a minute. No, what Tony's saying, if the team receives their order, the incident could be qualified and they're immediately going.
Yeah.
But it takes 36 hours to qualify that incident. So I don't know how it would ever be day one of an incident.
Of the fire, correct. It can never be
Yeah.
day one of the fire. Could never be. Right. Exactly.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you. Okay. Here we go to the next one. Let's talk pay caps. Maybe. I'm not sure why my little next button doesn't like me. Okay. Pay cap. So I have some cool news, which is hot off the press. As many of you know, the wildland fire pay cap waiver was granted by Congress and is still in place for calendar year 2026. So that means both DOI and USDA wildland fire employees can be paid above the normal Title V premium pay cap of $191 for qualifying wildland fire work. So even with a waiver, there is still a top limit. Nobody can earn above $228,000 a year, which is the SES level 2 rate for this year. So folks can go up to $228,000 a year as the absolute pay cap for 2026. However, once they hit 191, the rest of that, 30 something thousand will be held and not paid out until the next April. So they'll get paid all the way up to $191,000 for the year. And then any overtime they earn after that will not be paid out for many months until the next year in April, because they, being IBC and Forest Services, I don't know if it's ASC, but whoever does your payroll, they have to go through and do all the calculations and pull all that out. So those are the limits for this year, which is great. I'm going to skip a slide and say there is pending legislation. Like I just heard about it this week. OMB, the Office of Management and Budget's General Counsel, approved us to put in the 27 request a waiver for fire personnel permanent. So a permanent pay waiver that won't have to be rehashed every year with the CRs or with the funding packages. So that's heading to the Hill. I think that's awesome to not have to keep getting that, do we have it this year? Do we not? Is it coming? Is it not? So to have that permanently would be awesome for the firefighting community at large. And then again, IRPP remains capped at $9,000 per year and does not count towards the yearly premium pay cap because it has its own thing. So, does count. Sorry, it does count towards the $191 or $228 pay cap. That $9,000 will add into that. So I think that covers pay caps. I think that's my last slide. So let's hear some questions. Do I have time left for questions?
There was one in the chat that asked
Okay.
if you know if that April reconciliation date is for DOI and Forest Service.
I heard through some friends that they got their payments over that 191 cap faster than the DOI folks did. I know that some of our DOI, like it's for the GS13s and above, it's obviously a little easier to hit that. And I heard from a few folks that they finally did get their payout for DOI this last paycheck. So I don't know how Forest Service is handling that timing wise, but ours was last pay period for the payout. Let's see what else here. Look at fires. Okay. Do you happen to know if the anticipated, oh, you just read that. Okay, I don't see any other questions. Give me some hard stuff. Let's see what we can, I want to proof this out and I want to see if there's questions that we haven't addressed or things we aren't thinking about the right way. So if you can think of things or things come up, then let me know. Okay, so that question that just asked, does the payout include it in the cap for this year? That's a question that I asked Office of Human Capital and OMB, and I still haven't heard back. Does anybody happen to know? Has anyone else gotten that information? Because folks that just got their payout, I had someone that just got paid out, like, I think they got $10,000, and they asked me, does that count towards 2026 cap? It's paid out in 26. So my accountant brain says yes, but I don't know the official answer. So we'll have to find that out.
So Kellen, my understanding is that it is true because I have an employee at the California State Office that hits the pay cap every year. I would love to have that issue.
Right.
And every year that amount hits, right? Because it's a pay, even though accrued in the prior year, it hits his paycheck this year. So he's always in arrears with that. So I would say my answer is yes, not officially, but just based on some folks that I know in California that hit it every year.
Yeah, and knowing how federal pay is done is it's not when you earn it, it's when you're paid out, right? And
Right.
so that's what counts for like tax purposes. And so and I wanted to, in a former life, I was a tax accountant. And so my brain tells me that it would likely be lumped into 26 total numbers. So yeah, that's one thing to kind of to look at. You're going to have to gauge your response if you get an extra payout because you may go over that cap more than you're going to get compensated for, and no one wants to work for free. So.
And I have heard some folks say, oh, because I got paid, I've already hit, it bumps them to the pay cap sooner. So then for like this fiscal year 26, they're going to hit it sooner if they get paid out. So, and one thing I do want to mention is folks really, really should be taking a close look and seeing if they're going to hit the pay cap. And notifying, I know at least on the DOI side, I can't speak for the Forest Service, we ask, hey, did you hit the pay cap or you think you're going to hit the pay cap? Let us know. I recently just had 2 employees that said, hey, I hit the pay cap last year and they didn't. And we had to send that up to IBC to see if they were going to get paid out. But if you don't know, you don't know to send that up. So
that's
it's
right.
super important for folks to keep an eye on their paychecks.
It is, and we don't have access to view people's LESs to know where they're going to be at. I mean, we could run certain reports and kind of determine maybe if they're close, but ultimately it's up to the employee to verify all pay.
Yeah.
And so Jamie, I'm seeing your chats here, and thank you, Vanessa, I appreciate it. You're saying you're confused, girl, me too, or gentlemen, I'm not sure. Me too. So I see what you posted in here, and I do see what that says. So I had a discussion with the leadership, at least on the DOI side, about it, and I don't know, is this in the IRPP, like the official OWF version of the IRPP guide? Can you feel free to speak up? I don't see that.
This is on page 4 of the DOI Wildfire Incident Response Premium Pay Implementation and Field Guide, and it's as of June 2025.
Okay.